Hello and welcome to the Cardboard Dungeons X-Wing ship review of the Mist Hunter expansion pack. In case you're not familiar with this ship, the Mist Hunter belongs to the bounty hunter Zuckuss and his droid companion 4LOM. It's a heavily modified G1A Starfighter. In X-Wing terms, this is Scum and Villainy B-Wing equivalent. It's got very similar maneuver options, stats, and upgrade slots, and fills a similar role in a squadron. Although, as we'll see, the G1A is an interesting ship that brings a whole lot of new stuff into X-Wing. Looking at the ship itself, the first thing I'll say is that this is a pretty big model. It's in the small ship category, but it's pushing the limits. Take a look at it next to an aggressor. It feels like the designers could have easily put this thing on a large base, but maybe chose not to in order to fill that small ship heavy fighter slot, and also because the Scum faction already has more large ships than both the Rebels and the Imperials. Other than its imposing size, the G1A is a fairly generic-looking starship. I like it, but it could have been pulled from any sci-fi series. It's a nice model, and the paint job and level of detail are great as always. The maneuver dial is very close to the B-Wing, although it's slightly better. It has the same red speed 1 turns, but the speed 3 straight is green and the speed 4 straight is white, where the B-Wings is red. It's also got K turns at speeds 3 and 4. It's very much in line with what you'd expect from a heavy starfighter. The stats are also nearly identical to the B-Wing. Attack value of 3, 1 agility, 4 hull, and 4 shields. The only difference between the two ships is that the B-Wing has 5 shields and 3 hull. On the action bar, we've got focus and target lock, and surprisingly, evade. The upgrade bar has crew, system, and illicit slots. Before I move away from the action and upgrade options, I need to say that if those were the only available choices for this ship, it would still be good. I like that it's got the evade action, and all 3 of those upgrade options are super great. But wait until we get to the title for this ship. Zuckuss, of course, is the main pilot for this ship. He has a pilot skill of 7 and costs 28 points. He can take an elite upgrade in addition to the standard options, and his ability reads, when attacking, you may roll 1 additional attack die. If you do, the defender rolls 1 additional defense die. That seems really good. He can put some serious hurt on low agility ships. Fly in close, roll 5 attack dice against something like a Lambda Shuttle or Millennium Falcon. Who cares that they get 2 defense dice now instead of 1? Of course, your opponent might roll an evade on that extra die, and you might roll a blank on yours, which means that Zuckuss' ability has a fairly good chance of working against you as well. But whatever. Scum is all about taking risks, and rolling extra dice is always fun. Next up, we've got 4LOM. And yeah, guys, I'm calling him 4LOM. I know people like to say 4LOM, but Star Wars set a precedent for droid names with C-3PO and R2-D2, and I'm sticking with that. I realize there are droids with nicknames based on their alphanumeric designations, like Chopper and Lebo, but 4LOM isn't one of them. Anyway, if you don't know, 4LOM is the droid bounty hunter who isn't IG-88. 4LOM has a pilot skill of 6 and costs 27 points. He can take an elite upgrade. His ability lets you assign one of his stress tokens to another ship at range 1 at the start of the end phase. Note that it doesn't say enemy ship or friendly ship, only another ship, so he can transfer stress from himself to any other ship at range 1. With stress becoming a huge thing recently in the game, this is a solid ability. And because 4LOM is flying a G1A, his ability is still good even if your opponent isn't using a stress strategy against you, since it means you can pull red maneuvers and dump that stress before going into the next round. Gand Findsman is a non-unique pilot with a skill of 5 and a point cost of 25. He can take an elite upgrade, which, if you haven't noticed yet, is a pretty nifty feature of the Scum and Villainy faction. Lots of non-unique pilots with elite slots. Finally, Ruthless Freelancer has a pilot skill of 3 and costs 23 points. Okay, let's talk about the upgrade cards in this expansion. There are 2 brand new mechanics in here, and they affect all 3 factions. So buckle up, because here's the first one right out of the gates. Adaptability is an elite upgrade with a cost of 0 points. Yes, 0 points. That's an X-Wing first. We've never had a free elite upgrade in the game until right now. Furthermore, this is the very first dual upgrade card in the game. What's a dual upgrade card, Pat? Well, I'm glad you asked, because I'm about to fill you in. This is a two-sided card, and you get 2 copies in this expansion. If Harvey Dent was a real person who also played X-Wing, this card would be in every list he built. Twice. Anyway, both sides of this card are titled Adaptability and cost 0 points. One side reads, increase your pilot skill value by 1, while the other side reads, decrease your pilot skill value by 1. Now let's take a look at the rules for dual upgrade cards. To paraphrase, when you set up a match with a ship using a dual upgrade card, you choose which side to use during that match. What this means is that if you're playing a single casual game, you've now got an elite upgrade that lets you tweak pilot skill by 1 in either direction, and you can do it after seeing what your opponent is bringing to the table. But, and this is so much more important, if you're playing in a multi-round tournament, you'll be able to adjust pilot skill based on the list you're facing each round. I feel like this could have huge repercussions on X-Wing as a whole. Up until this point, pilot skill has always been a static number. Yes, there are some upgrades, most notably veteran instincts and abilities that can change pilot skill, but we've never had the ability to switch a key pilot skill from round to round during a tournament. The usefulness of this card in a tournament setting is highly situational, but if you can use it to gain the upper hand outside of initiative with a key ship against a difficult matchup, I just feel like this is something that could influence the outcome of some games. It's huge. There are a lot of really cool things in this expansion, but I think this is it right here. I'm super excited to see where X-Wing designers go with dual upgrade cards in the future. Electronic Baffle is a 1-point system upgrade. New system upgrades are always a big deal. It reads, when you receive a stress token or an ion token, you may suffer 1 damage to discard that token. Okay, so stress has become a big deal recently with the rise of the twin laser turret and R3A2 combo. This lets you take a damage to get rid of stress or an ion token. It's not terrible, especially if you're in a situation where having stress or ion tokens is likely to cause more than 1 damage in the following round. But it's hugely situational. There are 2 copies included here. Tractor Beam is a 1-point cannon upgrade. It lets you make an attack with 3 dice against a target at ranges 1 to 3. If the attack hits, the defender receives 1 Tractor Beam token, and then all dice results are cancelled. Okay, so this is the second new mechanic in this expansion. Here's the rules card for the Tractor Beam token. Once again, paraphrasing, each Tractor Beam token on a ship reduces its agility value by 1 to a minimum of 0. All Tractor Beam tokens get removed during the end phase. Furthermore, the first time a small ship receives a Tractor Beam token during a round, the opposing player chooses to force that ship to perform a Speed 1 barrel roll or boost. This counts as neither an action nor a maneuver, and the ship can end up overlapping an obstacle, but not other ships. So, we now have a 1-point cannon in the game that does no damage, but on a hit reduces agility, and against small ships lets you toss them around and possibly force them onto obstacles. All 4 versions of IG-88 just got a little better because they've now got a great choice for that second cannon slot. This is another game changer, people. Fantasy Flight just needs to find a way to make this thing retroactively useful on all of the huge ships for epic play, which I have no doubt whatsoever they will do whenever they announce a Scum and Villainy huge ship expansion. Corellian Corvettes and Imperial Raiders need tractor beams, is what I'm saying. Okay, next up we've got the 4 LOM Crew card. He's a Scum-only card costing 1 point and lets you receive an ion token when attacking to nullify an opponent's focus or evade token. This is pretty good, and if he's on a large ship like the Slave 1 or Fire Spray, there's not even a downside to it if the opponent isn't packing ion weapons, since large ships require 2 ion tokens before taking the effect. Arc-dodging aces are the hotness in X-Wing right now, and this card is designed to help shut down some of their power. I like it. Zuckuss also has a crew version here, and he also costs 1 point and can only be used with scum ships. When attacking, you may receive any number of stress tokens to choose an equal number of defense dice. The defender must re-roll those dice. At this point, I have to point out the awesome synergy that you get by flying Zuckuss and 4 LOM together. With Zuckuss piloting and 4 LOM as crew, you roll an additional attack die and give the opponent an additional defense die, but shut down one of their focus or evade tokens. With 4 LOM piloting and Zuckuss as crew, you can force the opponent to re-roll defense dice and take stress tokens, but then pass one of those stress tokens to a ship at range 1 during the end phase. It's cool stuff, and it's great to see the X-Wing designers giving incentives to keeping these guys together. Next up, we've got Cloaking Device, a unique, small ship-only illicit upgrade with a cost of 2 points. This is a big deal because it brings back the cloak action from Wave 4, this time as an option for almost all Scum and Villainy small ships. Yes, this expansion is officially nuts. Dual upgrade cards, tractor beams, and now the return of Cloaking. But this version of Cloak comes with a catch. If you're cloaked at the end of the round, you must roll an attack die. On a focus result, discard this card and then either decloak or remove the cloak token. Even with that, it's still a super awesome upgrade. Scum and Villainy just got the option to give Cloaking to almost all of their small ships. Of course, we've got that inherent risk versus reward thing that the Scum faction loves so much working overtime here. You might just lose this card if you use it. But still, Z95s with Cloaking, G1As with 3 agility during a vulnerable combat round. There are loads of options for this upgrade, and it's a huge boon to the Scum faction as a whole. Finally, after all of that, we've still got the title card for this ship to consider, and it's a doozy. Mist Hunter costs nothing and adds barrel roll to your action bar, with the requirement that you must also equip a tractor beam to the ship and pay the 1 point cost for the tractor beam. So basically, you pay 1 point to gain barrel roll and tractor beam, which is frankly a ridiculously good value. Even if you never use the tractor beam, 1 point to get barrel roll is great. And let's not forget that the G1A doesn't have a cannon upgrade slot. So this title is kind of breaking a core X-Wing rule by letting you equip a card that would otherwise be impossible to use. And that is the Mist Hunter expansion for X-Wing. Now, what do I think about this ship and its potential effect on the game as a whole? On the one hand, I think that the ship itself isn't that great. It's sort of a B-Wing for the Scum faction, but it lacks the utility that a bare-bones Blue Squadron pilot at 22 points brought to the Rebels. To make the ship effective, you basically need to spend 1/3 or more of your total build points, and even then you've got a slow-moving, low-agility whale with a big fat target painted on it. However, setting the merits of the G1A aside, this expansion is absolutely crazy for X-Wing as a whole. Adaptability gives savvy competitors the ability to tweak their ace pilots as needed to move last or shoot first based on their matchups. Tractor Beam just became a best in slot for twin IG-88 builds, and the Scum faction got a versatile but risky way to access the cloak action to give their small ships additional survivability. So to sum up, while I don't think that the G1A is a particularly great addition to the Scum faction, I do think that this expansion pack is a must-have for every X-Wing player, no matter what faction you prefer. I'm bummed out by the fact that there's just 1 copy of Tractor Beam included here, although we're going to get at least 1 more in the Imperial Veterans expansion, which is coming soon. There's a very interesting dichotomy at play with this expansion. On the one hand, the ship itself doesn't seem that great. I doubt it's going to see a lot of high-level play. On the other hand, there are a bunch of cards here that will see play in a wide variety of builds across all 3 factions, probably for a good amount of time to come. As always, thanks for watching the Cardboard Dungeons X-Wing ship reviews. See you next time.